Hello, I'm Dan Corey. I'm the Butler County Transportation Improvement District Director, here to talk about North Hamilton Crossing and the next steps that we'll be taking. You all may remember that we've been talking North Hamilton Crossing over the last 5 years, and we introduced a phrase called the purpose and need. For North Hamilton Crossing, the purpose and need is to improve the east-west connectivity north of State Route 129 in the city of Hamilton. It's to reduce congestion, improve safety and mobility, support its current development and economic growth that the city is feeling and experiencing, and also to help with the western Butler County area, and has been identified in the plan, Hamilton and Butler County Thoroughfare Plan. More specifically, the purpose and need primary is the east-west, like I mentioned, insufficient crossings of Great Miami River, lack of grade separation for the railroad of CSX's railroad that goes north-south, enhancing mobility and congestion mitigation, and improved safety. And the secondary is economic development, improved bike and pedestrian, and improved multimodal linkage. Each element, as I mentioned, is embedded into our plans at this point. Now, I'd like to have Alan Messer talk to you more about next steps and what we've done so far in announcing the recommended preferred alternative that we have, that will be receiving comments over the next 45 days.
Thanks, Dan. I'm Alan Messer, Director of Engineering here at the City of Hamilton. I'm going to cover some of the details of the project and the routing that Dan mentioned. The North Hamilton Crossing vision or concept is what you see here to the right of your screen, a boulevard-style roadway that'll better connect North B Street, US 127, State Route 4, and 129. It includes a new bridge over the Great Miami River and a railroad overpass. A lot of work has gone on over the last few years to develop the alternatives further. Some of the studies that have been conducted are looking at traffic everywhere from where's the traffic volume, what are the dangerous intersections that we're trying to improve, how does traffic flow through town from east to west, and how can we make it better. We also conducted a number of environmental studies. The alternative that moves traffic most effectively isn't always the best. We considered how each route will impact people in the surrounding area. As a result, we looked at cultural resources, historic resources, ecological, regulated materials, also hazardous materials, recreational, and community features. Public input was extremely important throughout the process. We had 5 stakeholder meetings, 2 in-person public meetings, virtual open houses, and numerous meetings with local neighborhoods, groups interested in the project, and individual citizens. Through the feasibility study, we developed and studied 18 different routes. Using different study results and public input received, we narrowed these down to several alternatives and divided them into sections, west, central, and east. Since then, we've been looking at the number of alternatives. We've also added a few that came up during the public input process. Our findings and recommendations are in the next sets of slides. The west section shown here includes 2 roundabouts that are already funded and scheduled for construction in 2027 at Northwest Washington, West Elkton, and North B Street, shown in the white. We had 2 river crossings that were shortlisted for further evaluation, one at Northwest Washington that would come off of one of those roundabouts, and a second down at Ray Avenue, closer to Spooky Nook. We currently have a funding application for the west side of the river crossing at Ray Avenue and Gordon. The recommended west section is the Gordon-Ray crossing, shown here. This includes a roundabout on each side of the river and intersection improvements at Gordon Avenue. This particular option was selected because it minimizes environmental impacts, better meets the traffic demands identified in the project, and was the less costly of the two. What we refer to as the central section takes people from 127 over to Fair Avenue. 4 different alternatives were evaluated in great detail on the central section. 2 of these alternatives came up as a result of input at earlier public meetings, Vine Street and Joe Nuxall. The recommended central section, the Vine Street connection, shown here, avoids the North End Ballpark impact, Chemdine, several historic properties, and impacts on the hydraulic canal. It also better meets the traffic needs of the other sections that were evaluated and maintains traffic on Heaton Street, which is already a major collector in the neighborhood. The east alternative was shortlisted very early in the feasibility study. The alternative you see here in green is the recommended. This one improves traffic on State Route 129 compared to no build. It eases congestion at the Princeton and Hampshire intersections, and it benefits Fair Avenue by diverting traffic that would otherwise be using Fair to get to Route 4 from 129. Traffic benefits include removing traffic from State Route 129 to Route 4 on North Fair Avenue in front of Garfield Middle School and Fairfield Elementary. This is the recommended preferred alternative for the overall project. The map shows the preferred routes for each section and how they fit together as part of the larger North Hamilton Crossing project. Next steps will be to gather public input on this recommendation, prepare a formal environmental assessment which will formally document the studies completed and their findings, identify measures taken to minimize impact, summarize the comments from you, the public, and this will be formally submitted then to ODOT for NEPA approval. We anticipate having the public hearing for the preferred alternative early next year, with another opportunity for the public to comment, and then eventually ODOT's determination as to whether they agree with the recommended route. Currently, we have enough funding to complete the environmental assessments and preliminary design for the overall route. Future funding for detailed design will come as opportunities arise and funding is secured. The west section is expected to move forward first because of the age and condition of Black Street Bridge. Planning and preparation for that section will likely take 3 to 5 years to complete, plus construction. The timing of the central and east sections is undetermined. Specific timing depends on our ability to secure funding and when that's awarded. We will pursue funding opportunities for the entire project as they become available. With that, I'll turn it back over to Dan to finish off the presentation.
Thanks, Alan. Right-of-way, which is the land that the roadway sits on, for the North Hamilton Crossing, we are planning a boulevard section and a roadway that has 2 lanes on both directions, as well as a landscape median and sidewalks, as Alan has described earlier. It will be wider than the current roads. The amount of land required will vary between property and property. The right-of-way options depends on how much land is needed by the Butler County Transportation Improvement District. These options include a piece or portion of the land, or it may include the entire or whole property. Specific acquisition needs of the North Hamilton Crossing project is not known at this time, and therefore we'll be discussing this ongoing. Relocations, if the property needed includes buildings, or if the entire property is needed, residents or businesses on the property may need to move to another location. The Butler County Transportation Improvement District will engage with a team of property acquisition experts to help guide property owners and occupants through the process of selling their property, finding a new place, and settling in it. Frequently asked questions. For instance, you may be asking, when will I know if my property will be affected? We'll be able to provide an update over the next year. So sometime next summer, please be on the lookout for a new notification of a public involvement meeting. Properties impacted will be subject to change even after that meeting. We again are still clarifying and cleaning up our plans and making sure they're detailed enough for everything we need. Affected property owners will be notified when there are funding obtained. It's undetermined when we're going to be able to start these projects, but once we obtain funding, we will then be able to give you more clarity. Right now, because of lack of funding on the central and east sections of the project, we simply don't know, but we are continually looking for new funding sources. Another question you may have is, when will I have to move? The project will not require you to move until funding is secured. Currently, the project is being planned in the following sequences. West section will be first, and east and central sections will be later. And you can go back to the boards or the other drawings that we have on the website to understand which the west section is, but that's the area over the Great Miami River. And then the central section is where a lot of the housing is that needs to be relocated. Affected property owners in the central and east section will be notified when funding has been awarded for the portion of the project in their area, which will provide them at least a 2-year notice. So funding is awarded and we begin working on the plans and redefining the right-of-way plans, as well as getting public involvement meetings. Once that ends, we will begin a 2-year notice of relocations. Once funding is secured, where am I going to go? We will help you find a local replacement property that is equal to or better than what you have. No one will be asked to relocate until a replacement property has been found. We're exploring options to help people stay in their neighborhoods, as in the North End, including renovating existing properties or building new ones on vacant lots. What if I can't afford to move? Your housing costs won't be more than what you paid at the time of acquisition. Financial assistance will be available to help cover any cost differences, such as higher mortgage or rental rates, and moving assistance will be available. If I rent or own a business, what happens? Renters and business owners will receive relocation assistance. Assistance with moving and reestablishing your business will be available. Federal law requires us to provide relocation assistance both to residents and businesses. Obviously, we serve the Butler County residents in the city of Hamilton, and we enjoy being public servants, and we'll be doing that during this process. And at this time, I know you may have even more comments than this. We ask that you just reach out to either Alan Messer or myself. This information on the screen shows you how to get a hold of us. Thank you.